I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. So this week, I'm telling a story about one of my sons. I have 3 kids, 5, 10, and 13. And the 13-year-old, he likes food. Like, not in the same way that I like food, obviously. I review food. I talk about it all the time. The difference between me and my oldest is where food is something I like, it's something I enjoy. To him, it's like a competitive sport. I like to try new things. I like to eat delicious food. But I know looking at me, it doesn't look like it, but I stop when I'm full. Unless, of course, I'm at a buffet. Then, of course, that is a competition. I'm not going to eat till I'm full. I'm going to eat till I hate myself. Then take a couple bites. But my son, that's how he is all the time. He just likes to eat. And I get part of it is probably because he's such a big kid. He always has been. When he was born, he was a little bit on the tall side. As he was growing, they were like, wow, he's really on the tall side. His pediatrician used to say he is taller than 95% of kids his age. She was saying this at 1 year old. So that's probably a lot of the reason he's so hungry. We've had to put so many limits on this kid. Because 1, of course, we're worried about his health. And 2, it's like, dude, can you save some food for the rest of us? And this isn't like, now that he's 13 and he's coming into that age, I'm dreading his teenage years when kids tend to eat more. Because back when he was 5, we got a babysitter. We went to dinner, my wife and I, and for the babysitter and our 2 kids at the time, we got some pizza. Got a couple of pizzas, said, here you go. Here's your dinner. We're going to go have a date. When we came back, there was only a couple of slices of one pizza left, which we didn't think much of until the babysitter informed us she did not notice my son kept sneaking more and more slices. At 5 years old, he ate one of those pizzas by himself. And before you ask, were they small pizzas? They were hot and ready's. He did that at 5. If I do that at my age, I hate myself. Mainly because my stomach hates me. We had to put a limit at that point on how many slices you're allowed when we get pizza. And not just that, but chips. Chips, we had to put a limit on him and chips. He loves chips, which I get. I like chips too, but this kid is obsessed with them. My wife would buy one of those party boxes that comes with 30, 40 little bags of chips. And at the time, we didn't think about monitoring his snacking. We really didn't. We just were like, okay, yeah, you guys can have a snack. And he would just keep going back to the point we had to limit him because that box of chips would be gone in a day. Or a family-sized bag of chips. He'd be like, can I have some chips as a snack? Sure, you can have some chips. According to him, some meant all but the crumbs at the bottom. So we got to the point where no, you're not snacking on chips. You can use the chips as a side dish or something. Which for some things makes sense. If he's having a hot dog and a side of chips, whatever. If he's having a sandwich and a side of chips, whatever. When I make hamburgers, I usually make a bunch and there's some left over. So the next day, if he's having one of the hamburgers for his lunch with a side of chips, whatever. But he has chips on the side of some of the weirdest things. Like chips on the side of pizza rolls. Or Hot Pockets. And at one point, I had to just cut him off. I'm like, dude, you cannot have chips on the side of everything.
What's wrong with me having chips with this?
Because chips are not a side dish for spaghetti. And if that's not bad enough, his reaction to food. I'm not talking about just reacting because he sees it. Because, sure, I'll do that. Watching TV, an ad comes on for that new Carl's Jr. burger. Or some of you may be confused right now, Hardee's. And if it looks good, I'll sit there and be like, that looks really good. I want to try that. But him, he doesn't actually have to see it. If it's just mentioned. For example, one time I was watching a movie called The Unsaid. If you haven't seen it, it's an underrated, very good movie. Not going to spoil the whole movie here, but a little bit. A man's son commits suicide in the beginning, and it causes him depression because he blames himself to the point that his wife and him got divorced, and he became a little estranged from his daughter. And part of the way through the movie, he decides to clean himself up, tries to get back into his daughter's life, goes to visit her at her school as she's getting out, and asks, you want to spend some time with your old man? Maybe you and I can go get a burger or something? To which my son goes,
burger.
All he did was mention burger. It didn't show him eating a burger. She blows him off, and he doesn't go get a burger. It's not even showing a diner. He just suggested getting a burger. Or worse, One time he was just sitting there listening while I was telling a story to my wife about a weird day I'd had at work, and one of the weird things that happened was I went to the bathroom, which of course it's retail, it's a public store, so it's a public restroom. I go into the stall, and on the floor in the stall next to the toilet is a half-eaten box of donuts. To which he goes,
Donuts.
were you not listening to the rest of the story? That's gross. Somebody was eating donuts, not just in the bathroom, that's gross enough, but in a public bathroom, where experts suggest that if you go in there just to blow your nose, you should also wash your hands because of all the stuff in the air. Somebody was sitting on that toilet eating donuts. That's disgusting. The worst one, my brother was over. We were watching that show Drawn Together. And one episode, if you haven't seen it, it's about a reality show of different types of cartoon characters. One of them is an internet cartoon, a pig who is disgusting, and he's repeatedly doing this prank on a pizza guy by grabbing the pizza, and before he pays for it, poops on it, and says, "We didn't order this with sausage," and of course shows the little cartoon poop on the cheese pizza. We're watching this, and my son goes,
Pizza.
"There was a poop on it! That's gross! That shouldn't have been appetizing at all!" But that is my son. He is like a living, breathing Homer Simpson, where if he even hears about a food, his gut reaction is, Kind of like my brother and B-movie actresses. Like, I'm willing to bet before we even watched this video, he went, chips when he saw the thumbnail. And the craziest thing about him loving food is, like me, he likes to try new stuff. Doesn't have to be real, though. Like, when it comes to food, he has an imagination. I honestly see him being a really good cook someday. In fact, a year ago when he was 12, he asked us to teach him how to cook. And he's doing pretty well. Not gonna lie to you, for a 13-year-old, he cooks pretty well. He likes to experiment a little bit too much, but you know what? That's what leads to great chefs. And I've told him if he decides to later be a chef, he can live here forever. But his liking to try things and his imagination have led to some weird stuff. One time, about 5 years ago, when he was 8.
I'm 8.
Best I can do. It was my night off. I was with the kids. Normally, on my night off, when I'm with the kids, because you got to remember I'm graveyard, most days I can't make dinner, but my nights off I usually do. Especially when it's my night off, but not my wife's. She was working, I was home, but instead of making dinner, my wife said, "I'm in the mood for Sonic," which we lived nearby, and I miss. And she said, on the way home from work, I'm just going to pick up Sonic. She also asked me to find out what everybody wanted. And by everybody, she meant me and James. Because Sam, my middle kid, he was 5 at the time. He always wanted the same thing. And our youngest, Timmy, wasn't even a year old yet. His meal was going to come from my wife's boob. But James was 8 years old, and by that point, like me, going places like that, he has the usual. But sometimes, like me, he doesn't want his usual. He wants to try something else. Kind of like Sonic. My go-to is the Supersonic Bacon Cheeseburger. That's my go-to there. But sometimes I change it up. I'm like, I don't want that. I want a Coney dog or something. My son, same thing. That was his go-to. And I waited all day until my wife said, "I'm on my way. Text me whatever everybody wants," because I knew better at that point than to tell them Mom's getting Sonic. Because at that point in time, it meant from the moment I told them until she came back with it, I was going to hear all day, "Is Mom on her way home? Is Mom on her way home? I'm hungry. Is Mom on her way home?" And I was going to be sitting there going like, "She's not going to be home for 8 hours. It's breakfast. Go get some cereal." But now my wife had texted me. She's on her way. "Tell me what you and James want." I told her I just want my usual. And I asked James, "What do you want from Sonic? Do you want your usual?"
Nah, I want something different.
"Okay, then what do you want, dude? Do you want a Coney dog? Chili cheese fries? One of their chicken sandwiches?"
I'll have some chili cheese fries and a super macho monster mac with tots.
Well, first of all, no. You can't have all of that. The chili cheese fries is a large serving, so I couldn't even eat the chili cheese fries and a burger combo. There's no way you can. So you can either get the chili cheese fries or a burger combo.
Okay, just the burger.
Okay, well that brings me to the next one. You can't have that burger either.
Why?
Because it doesn't exist. I'm pretty flexible on what you can have from Sonic, but it has to actually be something that is real. There's no such thing as a super macho monster mac. I don't even know what you came up with there. That's like you combined Sonic with Del Taco, McDonald's, and your toy trucks.
Okay, just my usual.
Yeah, good. Let's go with that since that actually is a thing. And we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago and his weird imagination with his obsession with food. And he was just like,
Okay, laugh it up. If it's so funny to you, why don't you put it in your video?
So there you have it. That's my story video this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications for when I post videos, and leave a comment that I can respond to in my next comment corner. Tell me if you've got a son that eats like this. Or tell me if you're the person that eats like this. Love you guys.